Kubernetes for Humans.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Kubernetes for Humans podcast. Today with me in the show, we have Gabriele. Gabriele, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, thanks for having me. I'm Gabriele Bartolini. I'm VP of Cloud Native at EDB. EDB is one of the major contributors to the open source PostgreSQL database. And 2 years ago, we open sourced an operator for Postgres in Kubernetes called Cloud Native PG. So my mission has been in the last few years to bring Postgres in Kubernetes, and I've been using Postgres for more than almost 25 years now. And I'm a Postgres contributor too, so I'm happy to be here.
That's a lot of years of Postgres. I think when we talked about it prior to the show, my company is using AWS RDS. We're quite happy with that. We're like big fans of Postgres. Almost all of our usage is Postgres. Now, when I think about databases on Kubernetes, it always feels suspicious, right? Because in the end of the day, like AWS is very stable. Kubernetes is not necessarily that stable. And Kubernetes already had like the treat your containers as the cows and not as pets, right? And databases are pets usually, right? So share with me share with me why should someone like me or someone else should do it?
Yeah, it's always about the why. Actually, I'll tell you about why we are in Kubernetes now, because I think that's also the reason why one day we'll not be using Kubernetes anymore. So I'm a big DevOps person. I was actually blessed I'm the first person that invited Jim Kim in Italy about 10 years ago. Jim Kim is my idol, in terms of, and all the work he's done with the IT revolution, series of books, all the research in how organizations can become a better place for everyone, to better and safer environment to build innovation. Okay. So I've always been fascinated by all what they're called now DORA capabilities. So version control systems, strong development, continuous integration, continuous delivery, automated testing, shift left on security. I could continue. Okay. So over the years, for example, we work with Vagrant. We try to automate everything we do when we develop software. And that's how we came into Kubernetes. But at that time, I was the most skeptical person for Kubernetes to run databases. And over time, when actually local persistent volumes were introduced, that's when we started to look at Kubernetes in a more serious way. So in 2019, we started this crazy journey. And I remember I was in San Diego, KubeCon, that was my first KubeCon, trying to speak about, like I was saying to you before, to use Postgres on local storage. And everyone was saying there's an anti-button. It's actually a choice you have. But anyway, I'm more than happy to talk about this later. But the why is what I call the microservice database approach. So you can actually empower developers to own the database and to make it part of their development lifecycle so that they can increase velocity and deliver multiple times a day using one of the foundational capabilities of Postgres, that is transactional DDL. So you can do database change management in a safe way because of rollbacks.
Yeah.
So for example, if you have a migration with your application for a new version of your app, you want to apply all the changes in a single transaction. If one of them fails, you can roll back. It's the database that enables to do that. So that's why we can do end-to-end testing in Kubernetes with our operator. So
what kind of what kind of usage pattern are suitable for running the database on Kubernetes? Every kind of RDS in the end is going to run on top of Kubernetes.
Okay, I think we can talk about database as a service versus databases in Kubernetes. That's the first topic.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, they don't come for free. Okay, if you want to run databases in Kubernetes, you need to know both Kubernetes and Postgres.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you don't have skills for Postgres and you don't want to have, worry about databases, that's where DBaaS makes sense. But if you want to own the data and, have your data inside Kubernetes, so remove any vendor lock-in, that's what now you can do. So that's database as a service versus inside. In terms of usage patterns, what we love of Kubernetes are scheduling policies. So we in a declarative way with affinity, anti-affinity taints, tolerations, you can decide where your Postgres database is going. So you have kind of a separation between the Kubernetes logical organization and the physical one, and make it entirely transparent to users. So we started with a fail-fast approach. So the idea was to test if on bare metal we reached the same level of consistency and performance that we were seeing outside Kubernetes. I wrote a blog article in 2020 where we explained we did all our tests and it was pretty much going as fast as bare metal inside Kubernetes. And that's when we said, okay, we have to go. Okay.
So how common is it? Like how many companies, how many databases are running currently on Kubernetes compared to, you talked about San Diego. What's the trend? Like who and what kind of organization?
So, Postgres had operators, and I think the main differentiator between our operator and the others is that our has been designed primarily for Kubernetes people. The other ones were using tools that existed outside Kubernetes and were put inside. Okay, we actually extended the Kubernetes controller, and we don't use stateful sets. So we manage PVCs directly, and that's something that, for example, Stringy with Kafka, they have adopted the same model. Okay. In terms of adoption, I'm really happy because now, I cannot name many companies, but now we have two important adopters. One is IBM Cloud Pak. So all IBM Cloud Pak stuff for Postgres runs with our operator, and then Google Cloud. Okay, then we also have my company, EDB, has a database as a service platform called Veganimal, and that runs on our operator. Then other databases as a service based on Postgres are using it. One is Tempo, for example. So the good thing about Postgres is that it's a technology that is very versatile.
Yeah.
So over the years, thanks to accessibility, it's learned from other technologies, and you can use XML, JSON, and now PG Vector as well. Timescale.
Yeah, we
they're all extensions. So the good thing is that with this technology, you pretty much can use all the use cases. It might not be the best in each of them, but it's a platform that can perform well for most use cases.
So do you think like in 5 years from now, most of the Postgres is going to be on top of Kubernetes, or more like managed services still have the place?
That's hard to say. That depends on organization. Okay, but I think that now organizations, especially in Europe with the new Data Act that is in place, it's a possibility that every organization will have to move stuff on-prem again. So to run their own cloud with Kubernetes and maybe set up hybrid cloud or even use multi-cloud. It really works the same way. So they have the choice to do it. And in my opinion, it's not only feasible. At the moment, it's the best way to run Postgres all over. So that's what I'm preaching.
No. I told you that I think we are going to check it out, like in Pomodoro, maybe like in a quarter or two, as we're also like a very strong Postgres company and a Kubernetes company, obviously. And we are looking to see if we can get it to work as good as RDS or similar in a similar way. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Gabriele, it's been a pleasure. Love talking about databases in Kubernetes. And thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Kubernetes for Humans.